So you finally have decided to give role-playing a try in World of Warcraft, but you're just not sure where to start. Believe me, I get it. Years ago, when I first attempted to roleplay in World of Warcraft, I was as clueless as Blizzard was when they were developing Shadowlands. But after years of role-playing as Nixxiom, his druid son Ashvin, as well as several other characters, I can say that I am comfortable enough now to be somewhat of a guide to new players who want to give role-playing a shot. And that is what we are here to do today. Today, I will be giving you guys a step-by-step overview of how you can get into role-playing as a newcomer without being a giant cringe factory. From understanding roleplay to how to find a community that's right for you, let's just get started with the basics with Chapter 1. What is role-playing? So for the 2% of people watching this video that have no idea what the heck role-playing even is, let's just quickly explain it to them, guys. That way they can follow along with the rest of us for the rest of the video. This chapter's pretty short, don't worry. Roleplaying, or RP for short, is a way for players to immerse themselves in some sort of setting that their imagination has created, or perhaps within an already established video game or world or something, like Dungeons and Dragons, for example. Think of it like playing pretend as a character that you've created or are acting as, especially if you're doing roleplay in real life. But in the case of World of Warcraft role-playing, you probably guessed it, you are becoming your character that you've created within WoW and that you're playing as. Role-playing is a way to tell stories and to create unique experiences with other players that the game's developers, in this case Blizzard, they're not creating it for you, you're making it for yourself. In roleplay, after you've taken on the role of your character, you'll spend your time interacting with other roleplayers across Azeroth, participating in events, and just creating your own stories. Really, it's a way of playing WoW where you and a massive community create the content, the story, and just whatever else your imaginations can come up with. If you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, for example, which many of us are, and you've never tried role-playing in World of Warcraft or an MMO, let me just say that you're kind of missing out. But anyway, we've talked about the general idea of what role-playing is now, so let's talk about how to get properly started with Chapter 2, Creating Your Character. To start role-playing, you will need to, of course, create a character for your roleplay. The character of your dreams, the one you've always wanted to express yourself as. You can choose from a variety of races and classes, each with their own unique abilities and backstories and potential lore and storylines. Be that tiny gnome, guys, who flees from being stepped on by Chad Night Elves, or let yourself enjoy being a Draenei who's confused by even the most simple of Azerothian customs. Being that they're all aliens and such, channel that Arthur Weasley vibe from Harry Potter with that rubber duck scene. You know what I'm talking about. When creating your character, think about what kind of person they are, what their motivations might be, and what their personality is like. Maybe they're kind, they're rude, introverted, extroverted, whatever. This will help you develop your character and make them feel more realistic. Now, after doing these basic steps, you will need to also create a backstory for this character to further explain who they are and what their motivations might be within the World of Warcraft. This is something that, admittingly, it does require a bit of knowledge of Warcraft lore in order to make a proper backstory that fits within the game's overall storyline. And if you're unfamiliar with Warcraft's lore, it can be a little frustrating, but luckily we have YouTubers like Platinum WoW to help us out by teaching us the game's storylines and about its characters in epic and fun ways. Also, to be fair, don't worry too much about creating a super detailed background for that orc warrior you're playing as in the beginning, because what you'll find is that as you roleplay more on that character, your backstory, his personality, and just the overall approach to the character will develop over time. So maybe in the beginning, keep things simple and see where the roleplay of that character takes you in terms of your storytelling. For myself, I think that playing as a dragon-slaying warrior would be awesome for this current expansion, Dragonflight, or maybe some sort of hunter looking to take down the biggest of game, and this has brought him or her to the Dragon Isles. And hey, if you're gonna kill dragons, probably gonna need a Dragon Slayer shirt. Link down below in the description if you guys would like to get one. It helps support the channel. Thanks, guys. Chapter 3. Finding a community. All right, so now you've made your character, you've got your background, and now you're ready to dive in. Now, there's sort of two approaches to getting started with role-playing once you've logged into the game. The first is standing ominously in a corner of an inn somewhere, watching people role-play, and hoping that somebody talks to you. But this usually never happens, and it doesn't work because you just look weird. The best thing to do, especially for a new role player, is to go and join a guild of some sort and start interacting with people even before the role playing begins on your character. Find a guild through the trade chat, find it through the guild finding tool, and then talk to your guild members. Let them know that you're a newcomer. They'll bring you up to speed with what to expect, what sort of events to look forward to, and so on and so forth. Here's a few general rules though when it comes to role playing before you dive in and really get started. These are just some things to consider. Number one, when you are around other role players, try to stay in character as much as possible. This means that you should be talking like your character would story-wise and lore-wise. Don't be spamming toys, don't jump around on your mount. Respect the fact that you're like a character in a book. Act like you're actually present in the world and keep things as realistic as possible. Don't pull a 6-ton ogre out of your ass, for example, and start riding it around Astronar. Number two, roleplayers tend to expect really good grammar when it comes to interacting with each other. That way, intentions, actions, and expression is done clearly and without much confusion. At least that's the hope. So take a moment, learn how to use a comma properly. One thing that I can say from my years of role-playing is that doing this stuff online really helped me in my writing classes back in high school and college. So hopefully, for those of you guys that might be a little bit younger watching this, being a degenerate role player can help you guys too. Number three, don't try and be a cool character. Don't pretend to be some sort of general of a former war, a great hero, a slayer of a mythical foe. Guys, keep things simple to start out. Again, your character's story, it will develop over time. And if you start off as a new character role-playing as if you're some sort of demigod, everybody is just going to ignore you. Try and be a bit realistic when it comes to the Warcraft setting. The average Tauren has not gone to the planet Argus, for example, to farm demon asses to power a spaceship made of Naru crystals, okay? The average Tauren is probably just a simple hunter in Mulgore, so that's more of the approach that you should be taking with your character. This leads us to Chapter 4, Participation. For those that have never roleplayed before, they might not understand this, but it can be a bit intimidating at first, especially if you're very judgmental about yourself and your lack of storytelling and writing ability, but that's okay. You'll open up slowly and surely around the right people, and one of the best ways to do this is to participate in events across Azeroth. That way you can sort of disappear into the crowd a little bit, but also get to know people and just kind of test the waters. Participating in roleplay events in World of Warcraft, it's a great way to immerse yourself in the game and to create those unique experiences with other players that we were talking about before. This is what roleplaying is all about, guys. Now, to participate in whatever events are going on across the server, you will need to first join a role-playing community, as we mentioned in Step 3, and they can perhaps guide you to some upcoming stories or events on your server. You'll want to check the calendar of events and see what's coming up, if there's anything at all. Or what you can do, if nothing's happening in your guild and with the people that you've met so far, just go wander around the world on your character and see what you can find to get started. Now, some popular events that you might find while you're wandering through Azeroth are battles, parties, storytelling sessions, whatever, maybe some sort of training, I don't know. Maybe the event might even be a celebration of an in-game holiday, but players are actually seriously role-playing a celebration for it rather than just doing dailies and logging off. Just keep in mind that to participate in an event that you found, just remember to be in character, and you also need to abide by the community's rules and expectations around that event. It's also a good idea to communicate with other players and get to know them before the event, or at least if you've just found an event that you've stumbled upon, whisper somebody and ask if it's okay if you can join, and if so, is there anything in particular that you need to know in order to effectively join story-wise? Maybe, for example, the event that you've stumbled upon is like a caravan is going through the Barrens or something, so you can pretend that your character was wandering in the wilderness in the Barrens, you need water, and you found these people. The point is, communication will help you understand the event better and make it more enjoyable for everybody and make it so that you can find a proper place within the event. Just remember to have fun, be creative, and you'll have a great time participating in these World of Warcraft role-playing sessions all around the world. So in conclusion, guys, role-playing in World of Warcraft is a fun and exciting way to immerse yourself into the game and to create unique experiences with other players. You just need to understand the basics of role-playing. You gotta create your character, gotta have a backstory, right? Find a role-play community that you like, join that community, and then start participating in little events, or maybe make some events of your own. Just again, make sure to abide by the community's rules and expectations, and try to be in character as much as possible when you're around other players. The most important thing, though, is just have fun, be creative, and enjoy the journey of role-playing in World of Warcraft. Role-playing is something that a lot of people have not tried. Yeah, like they've seen it, they've mocked it, but they've never really given it a shot, sticking more to the PvP and PvE side of World of Warcraft. But if you really get into roleplay, if you really just give it a shot and have some fun with it, treat it like you're playing D&D or something with your friends, or you're just, letting yourself have a good time making a story, I think that you'll quickly find that roleplay is one of the most enjoyable forms and ways of playing World of Warcraft. So guys, thank you all for watching. Hopefully this guide helps give you that little nudge to push you onto your first role-playing adventure. In this video, we go over everything from World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars: The Old Republic, and more. So check it out, guys, and we will see you all with our next video.